In this video, I'm going to give you 10 contemporary male monologues spoken by American characters. They'll be perfect for American actors or for non-American accented performers if you're working on accent and dialect. Right, let's go. Sam from The Flick by Annie Baker. This is in Act 2, Scene 1. Start on page 66 at "So the next day we all went to see a movie," and end on page 69 at "Now I can't remember what the realisation was." Sam works at a cinema or movie theatre and is speaking about bringing in food to watch a movie, and he's making a shocking discovery. It's a comedic and conversational speech that he thinks is more dramatic than it actually is. Cut out Avery's small interjections and Sam's responses to him to make the speech work. Andy from Downstate by Bruce Norris. Start on page 100 at "Emily has to pick out my clothes," and end on page 101 at "Like she didn't even care." Andy was abused as a child by Fred, and here, after many years, he's finally confronting him. It's a hugely emotional speech filled with pain, trauma and sadness. Cut out Fred's small interjections to make the speech work. Adam from The Antipodes by Annie Baker. Start on page 73 at "Once upon a time there was nothing," and end on page 75 at "And they were happy." Adam is in a group of people confined to a conference room creating stories together. Towards the end of the play, and after several failed attempts at success, Adam delivers this epic story about the creation of the world. There's loads of potential in this speech. It could be conversational, low-key and casual, or more dynamic and thrilling. Victor from Dirty Crusty by Claire Barron. Start on page 110 at "So when my granddad died," and end on page 112 at "She made us sleep in her room that night." In this speech, Victor recounts visiting his dead granddad's body with his brother. It's a simple, sweet and touching speech. Ken from Red by John Logan. Start on page 54 at "Bores you," and end on page 55 at "So black swallows red." Ken is in his 20s and is Mark Rothko, the American painter's assistant. At this point, Ken explodes at Rothko about Rothko's arrogant attitude and brutish treatment of him. Pryor from Angels in America, Part 1, Millennium Approaches by Tony Kushner. This is the second part of Scene 8. Start on page 42 at "One of my ancestors was a ship's captain," and end on page 43 at "But it seems to me that it lets you off scot-free." In this short speech, Pryor tells a story about his ancestor to his crying partner, Lewis. Pryor is sick with AIDS, and Lewis is struggling to come to terms with it. Eric from The Inheritance by Matthew Lopez. This speech is in part 1 of the play. It's in Scene 5, part 2. On page 145, start at "The car turned away," and end on page 147 at "Mingling together inside this house, inside him." This speech is from the end of part 1 of this incredible and epic new play. Eric speaks in the third person about himself, and he speaks about visiting a house in upstate New York that used to be a refuge for men with AIDS in the 1980s. This is a beautiful speech full of powerful imagery and poignancy. Toby from The Inheritance by Matthew Lopez. This speech is in part 2 of the play. It's in Act 2, Scene 5. On page 247, start at "The night Toby disappeared," and end on page 251 at "And starts to write." In this extensive speech, Toby reflects on his troubled life and where he needs to go next. He speaks about himself in the third person, and the speech is full of pain and conflict. This is a long speech, so a couple of shorter versions are start at "He was 7 when his father died" on page 248, and end on "The only faggot" on page 249. Or start at "Toby darling, raised in privilege" on page 249, and end at the end of the speech on page 251. Franz from Appropriate by Brandon Jacobs Jenkins. Start on page 88 at "Okay, where do I even start?" and end on page 90 at "I washed us clean." In this speech, Franz has just returned from going in a lake at the family home. He speaks passionately about the spiritual awakening he's just journeyed on. John from Now or Later by Christopher Shin. In Christopher Shin Plays 2, start on page 15 at "Okay, a couple weekends ago," and end on page 16 at and tell people they were going to burn in hell. John is the son of the Democratic presidential candidate, and controversial photos of him are circulating, which is threatening his father's success. In this speech, John recounts a naked party that he attended and how the damaging events unfolded. Cut out the couple of small interjections by Jessica as John's setting up the story. These plays are currently available on Drama Online, or you can order them from the publishers, Bloomsbury, which now incorporates Methuen Drama and Oberon Books, Nick Hearn Books, and Faber and Faber. Or you can order them from Amazon. Thanks for watching to the end. If this video helped you, please hit that like button and check out these other videos that I think you'll enjoy. And also hit that subscribe button to make sure that you never miss a video. All the best.